Alright, hey, I realize some of you probably were looking forward to Holy today, but that didn't work out, so I'm glad you're here to listen to this, so I'm going to keep it brief. Alright, so for the basics, I think it's very apparent that all 4 people running are very well qualified. However, it's not just the qualifications that make a good secretary member. It's the initiative that they take. This initiative is what allows country assignments to be released early, and what allows for our events, most notably being Tech Month, to be such a success. That being said, I am the only candidate for USG who has been an officer for both the past 2 years. However, some of the others have been officers for the past year, or some not even for that. Thus, as an officer, I have been able to see exactly what the job of USG and being a secretariat member entails, and just how demanding it can be. As well, in addition, I've seen how the different secretariats over the past few years have handled different situations and know what is needed to help keep this club on its current track to success. Alright, that being said, I know awards have been brought up by other members of, other candidates, and so just to run over mine, I'd just like to point out that I'm the only junior here running for both either SG or USG who got an award higher than a verbal at Ilmunk, and that was in one of Ilmunk's crises committees. So, thank you. Anyways, continuing on that, it is important that the most deserving candidate be selected. However, it is important to remember that MUN is a competition, and that awards do sometimes offer up a good insight as to a person's capabilities. And thus, I think my award at Ilmunk, being the highest of any of the other juniors running, is very enlightening for that purpose. Right. Thus, I think my track record shows that I'm not only properly qualified, but also I have the needed drive to hold this position. However, I do realize that some of you probably already have your minds made up, and that's alright. It's your choice. However, I'd like to ask you to think, before voting, about just what your experience at TJ Munn was. Your first year, whether it was this year for the freshmen, or earlier for all of you sophomores and juniors, and also seniors in the room, I know there's some of you. If the secretary that first year had done a poor job, chances are you wouldn't have continued with Munn. And the reason we are so successful as a club is because we have so many people participating, and we can keep those kids engaged. Anyways, alright, and so continuing on from that, this is your chance to decide how this club goes in the future. This is your chance to dictate what will happen next year. So, I'm requesting that you take into account, it is important to see who works well with others, and I would like to point out that the 4 USG members and the 2 SG candidates, they would all be good choices. That is true. However, it is important that you vote not based on who your friends are, or gender, or popularity. It's important that you vote based on who the best candidate is. And if you don't think that's me by now, that's unfortunate, and I'm a little disappointed, but that's okay. But it's important that when you vote, just be honest. Voting is anonymous, so vote for who you think is the best. Don't vote for whoever asks you the most or anything like that. Because it is you who decides the future of the club, not us. We are just the reflection of what you want. So choose wisely. Thanks. Yes, vote for Sasha.
Let's take one from Andrew. Okay, Andrew, because he's scaring me out. Yeah.
And you promised me more national conferences.
Nobody can promise you more. I can't promise you more, but there's a very high chance that we will have at least the same number as in past, or maybe one additional. But there is no way to promise it, because often no date is set in stone. Let's put it that way. So often dates are changed, and they just don't work out with what we're trying to do. So as Bart said, there really is no way to promise you anything. There's a high chance, if that answers your question.
Yeah, there's just stop asking that question. I mean, it's a good question, but I mean, I think you know what the answers are going to be from now on. There's no promises in life. Okay, any other questions? We have time for another, maybe 2. Carrie?
So you mentioned how you're the only person out of the 6 secretary candidates running who has gone higher than an abstain, or who got higher than a verbal at Ilmunk. How did you justify how that translates to actually working and managing a club? Because there's actually less correlation between succeeding as an officer and succeeding as a member.
It's a good question. No. That's why I didn't say it does directly translate. That's why I said that it's often a good reflection. To be able to do that well in a crisis committee, it's important that you have the skills necessary to do well. You have to be able to lead groups. You have to be able to work well with others. You have to be able to know what you're doing, first off. You have to put a lot of time and research in. And most importantly is the time and research. To do well in a crisis, it's not how well you wing things, it's not how well you can BS. It's how well you are prepared going into it that dictates your award. And thus, that amount of time that I spent to earn that award clearly shows that my life is very dedicated to money. And if I spend that much time on just one of the numerous amount of conferences we go to, then I would be definitely willing and definitely would spend that much time, if not a lot more, on my duties as USG. Does that answer?
Yes, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, great. Thank you, Connor.